Solaris by Stanislaw Lem. Arrival at Solaris. The shuttle's engines hummed softly as Chris Kelvin braced himself for the final descent to Station Solaris. The station loomed ahead, a solitary structure against the backdrop of the vast swirling ocean of the planet below. As the shuttle docked, the silence of space was replaced by the faint, eerie hum of the station's life support systems. Stepping into the station, Kelvin was greeted not by the crew, but by a palpable sense of disarray. The corridors were dimly lit. The usual bustle of robots and personnel was conspicuously absent, and a heavy air of unease hung over everything. It wasn't just the absence of life that unsettled him. It was as if the very walls had eyes, a technological surveillance system gone haywire, tracking his every move with an unseen gaze. "Snow?" Kelvin called out, his voice echoing slightly in the empty hallway. "It's Kelvin. I've arrived." After a moment that felt like an eternity, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Snow, the deputy scientist, but he was not the composed colleague Kelvin had expected. His eyes were wide, his movements jittery, and his words came out in a rush. "Kelvin, you shouldn't have come," Snow blurted out, his voice tinged with hysteria. "It's all gone wrong. Gibarian, he's gone." "Gone? What do you mean?" Kelvin's heart raced as he tried to process Snow's words. He remembered Gibarian, always the stoic observer, his keen eyes missing nothing. A flashback hit him. Gibarian standing at the observation deck, gazing into the ocean's depths, a slight frown creasing his brow as if he sensed the coming storm. "Oh, Snow's laughter, a mix of disbelief and despair, filled the room. "Gone, Kelvin. He's dead, and we're all that's left. The ocean, it's doing things to us, showing us things we can't escape." Kelvin's mind reeled. The mission, the research, the anticipation of discovery, all overshadowed by this unforeseen chaos. He needed answers, but the station, with its oppressive silence and the strange sensation of being watched, seemed to offer none. As he followed Snow through the station, Kelvin noticed the absence of the usual robotic assistants. "Where are the robots?" he asked, trying to make sense of the situation. "They're offline," Snow replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "We had to shut them down. They were affected too." "Affected?" Kelvin's thoughts raced. What power did this ocean have to reach into the very circuits of machines? They reached Gibarian's quarters, and Snow hesitated at the door. "You'll see for yourself," he said, a note of warning in his voice. "The ocean's influence is beyond our understanding." Inside, Kelvin found more questions than answers. A giant figure, a manifestation of the ocean's enigmatic power, stood in the room, a towering, translucent apparition that seemed to pulse with the rhythm of the waves below. It moved through the room with a fluid grace and vanished as if it had never been there. Kelvin's gaze fell upon a tape recorder left by Gibarian, its message a cryptic warning of the overwhelming forces at play. As Kelvin listened to Gibarian's final words, the reality of his mission shifted. This was no longer just a scientific endeavor. It was a confrontation with the unknown, with the deepest fears and desires of the human psyche. The chapter closed with Kelvin standing in the dim light of Gibarian's room, the weight of the station's mysteries pressing down upon him. The journey into the heart of Solaris had only just begun, and already the lines between reality and illusion were blurring. The scent of ozone lingered in the air, a remnant of the station's once active machinery, while the distant, irregular clanks of the cooling systems played a dissonant symphony, underscoring the chaos that had taken hold. Manifestations of the mind. Kreese Kelvin paced the narrow confines of his quarters. A knock at the door broke the silence. "Come in," he called. Snow entered, looking fatigued. "Kelvin, we need to talk about Rhea," he said. Kelvin's heart raced. "Yes, her and the others," he replied. "They're real, Chris," Snow affirmed. Kelvin sat down, grappling with the situation. "And Rhea?" he asked softly. "She's different now. A part of Solaris," Snow explained. Kelvin felt an ache in his heart but pushed it aside. "We have to focus on our mission," he stated. They joined the crew in the central hub where a figure resembling Rhea appeared. "Chris," she said. "We need to understand your purpose here," Kelvin responded. "I am here for you," the figure replied. Snow interjected, "Remember, she's not the Rhea we knew." Kelvin acknowledged this with a nod. "We'll uncover Solaris's secrets together." With that, they embarked on their quest to decipher the mysteries of Solaris. The Phi creatures. The station hummed with life, its machinery a constant backdrop to the crew's struggle with the enigmatic Phi creatures. These manifestations, as hypothesized by Sartorius, could be Solaris's attempt at communication, perhaps even a bridge to understanding its consciousness. The crew, however, remained wary, their interactions with these entities a blend of scientific curiosity and personal torment. Kelvin, grappling with the presence of Rhea, found his resolve tested. She was a conundrum, embodying memories yet exhibiting behaviors that suggested a nascent self-awareness. "What are you?" he pondered aloud, his inquiry directed as much to Rhea as to the cosmos itself. In a breakthrough, Snow discovered a pattern in the Phi creatures' appearances correlating with Solaris's pulsations. This revelation sparked a new mission: to decode the pattern and engage with Solaris on a new level. As the crew set to work, a sudden energy spike from the ocean's depths signaled an imminent event, one that could change their understanding of life itself. "Prepare for contact," Kelvin announced, his voice steady, eyes fixed on the monitors. The crew tensed, anticipation and anxiety mingling in the charged air. This was the moment of truth, a confrontation with the unknown that could either answer their questions or shatter their reality. The chapter closed with the crew braced for Solaris's response, a collective breath held in suspense. Operation Slaughterhouse. The station was charged with a silent anticipation as Dr. Kelvin traversed the corridor, contemplating the gravity of their impending action. In the control room, he found Snow absorbed in his work at the console. "Is this the path we choose?" Kelvin inquired softly. "We must," Snow replied without looking up. "There's no alternative." Kelvin felt the enormity of their choice. The Roche apparatus, shrouded in enigma, stood ready, a testament to their desperate bid to confront the unknown entities, birthed by Solaris's enigmatic ocean. As the device began to hum, Kelvin was haunted by memories of Rhea, whose presence was a bittersweet echo of the ocean's cryptic influence. The apparatus came to life, its vibrations a stark contrast to the stillness that enveloped them. In the decisive moment, Kelvin's hand lingered, his resolve tested not by external voices but by the tempest within. Snow's determination was unwavering, a silent reminder of their commitment to discovery and the greater good. With a somber spirit, Kelvin initiated the sequence. A resplendent glow enveloped the space, and as it waned, the station stood tranquil. They had triumphed, yet the cost lingered in the air, an unspoken query that resonated through the quietude of the station. The enigmas of Solaris persisted, their depths as impenetrable as the void itself. In the aftermath's hush, Kelvin felt the reverberations of their deed, a specter that would linger in the confines of his conscience. Ethical dilemmas. In the sterile white corridors of Station Solaris, Chris Kelvin paced, his thoughts on the mission ahead. Rhea, resembling his late wife, stood by the observation window, her gaze fixed on the ocean of Solaris. Without a word, her presence posed a silent question that hung in the air. Snow entered, his expression grave. "Kelvin, we must prioritize our mission objectives," he said firmly. Sartorius joined the conversation, his tone measured. "We're here to study Solaris, not to get lost in its enigmas." Chris, torn between his duty as a scientist and the emotions Rhea evoked, remained silent. The crew's debates over the nature of the Phi creatures had reached an impasse. In a rare moment of solitude, Chris and Rhea shared a silent exchange, a mutual understanding that transcended words. Their connection was undeniable, yet Chris knew the challenges they faced were far from over. As the narrative progressed, Chris was compelled to make a pivotal decision that would alter the course of their expedition. A new discovery aboard Station Solaris beckoned, promising to unravel the secrets of the sentient ocean and perhaps the essence of life itself. The future of Solaris and its enigmatic inhabitants awaited Chris's next move. The demise of Rhea. The station's corridors hummed softly, a backdrop to Chris Kelvin's inner conflict. In the central control room, Snow awaited him. "Kelvin." "It's about Rhea," Snow began, his tone grave. Chris tensed. "What about her?" Snow met his gaze. "Her existence here isn't sustainable." Rhea, silent until now, spoke. "I know what must be done." Chris protested, but Snow cut him off. "It's about the mission." Chris Torn finally acknowledged the truth. "I love you," he whispered to Rhea. With a final smile, Rhea gave her silent consent. Chris was left alone, the vastness of Solaris a stark reminder of his loss. The chapter concluded with Chris facing the reality of his situation, alone with his thoughts amidst the enigmatic beauty of the cosmos. Questioning consciousness. In the dimly lit confines of Station Solaris, Chris Kelvin sat hunched over a cluttered desk. The room was silent, save for the soft hum of machinery and the distant, otherworldly whispers of the sentient sea. "Why are you here?" Kelvin's voice was barely a whisper, a mix of wonder and dread. "I don't know, Chris. I'm here for you, aren't I?" Rhea replied, her tone a blend of confusion and clarity. Kelvin shook his head, struggling with the reality before him. "You feel so real," he murmured. Snow burst into the room, his face etched with urgency. "Kelvin, we need to talk. It's about the ocean." Kelvin faced Snow, his skepticism apparent. "What about it?" "It's evolving," Snow said, pacing the room. "It's not just mimicking. It's adapting, changing." Rhea looked at them both, her expression one of calm resolve. "What does that make me, then?" Kelvin considered her, his thoughts racing. "That's the question, isn't it?" The trio stood in contemplative silence until Snow spoke up. "We've been wrong. This isn't a threat. It's something new." Kelvin nodded. "It's a mystery, an intelligence beyond our concepts." Rhea's faint smile offered a glimmer of hope. "There's a chance for understanding." Kelvin's determination was clear. "We need to learn from this. We need to embrace the unknown." As they delved deeper into the station's mysteries, each encounter with the ocean's creations brought them closer to a profound realization. The universe was far more complex and wondrous than they had ever imagined. It was a journey of discovery, not just of the cosmos, but of themselves and the essence of consciousness in an infinite expanse of mystery. Departure from Solaris. Dr. Kreese Kelvin stood at the threshold of the command center, his gaze lingering on the vast, sentient ocean of Solaris. The once unfathomable depths now seemed like an old adversary, one that had taught him the limits of human understanding and the boundless nature of consciousness. "Are you ready, Chris?" Snow's voice broke the silence, his figure emerging from the shadows. Kelvin turned, his eyes reflecting a storm of emotions. "I don't think one can ever be ready to leave a part of themselves behind," he replied, his voice a mix of resignation and resolve. Snow nodded, understanding the weight of Kelvin's words. "The report is transmitted. Whatever happens next is beyond our control." Snow clasped Kelvin's shoulder. "You've done more than anyone could. You've faced the unknown and come back. Changed." Kelvin smiled faintly. "Changed, yes, but not broken. Solaris showed me that the universe doesn't revolve around us. It's indifferent, vast, and perhaps imperfect." As they walked towards the shuttle bay, Kelvin paused, looking back at the ocean one last time. "I came here seeking answers, but I'm leaving with more questions. Questions about life, existence, and the nature of contact." They reached the shuttle, the vessel that would take Kelvin back to Earth. As the doors closed behind him, Kelvin felt a sense of closure. He was leaving Solaris, but the memories, the lessons, and the echoes of Rhea would always be a part of him.